welcome to the raised talk to education and society. It's a honor and a privilege for us that you are here. Thank you very much.
I would say that for me it's an honor and a privilege to be at the National University of Mexico and in your program, and I'm very pleased that my friend, or colleague Roberto, set it all up and arranged it. It's exciting.
Yeah, I know. So thank you very much anyway. So we know that you are in the past coordinated an important comparative study in higher education and equal opportunities in 2010. Could you please explain us how do you think it has evolved until now?
Okay, well, I would just say that at Ben Gurion University in Israel, I became involved with a professor from the University of California in Los Angeles, UCLA. And we set up an organization which dealt with the idea of universities and regional development. We felt that Ben Gurion University was set up by the Israeli government in 1970 to develop an underdeveloped part of the country.
Okay.
So that always was important. UCLA was a land-grant college in the United States. So in the about 2004 or 5, at the Dead Sea in Israel, we held an international conference on higher education. Universities, the role. So I started I wrote more on the subject, looking at various countries and what they do with higher educational policy. It's not as positive as some might think. At one time, universities were more interested to be committed to society, educating everyone. But if you take a look, for example, in many countries of the world, one of the most popular subjects today is business administration. Right. Everyone wants to get a business degree. Why? They want to make money. Exactly. And universities also, because of, in many countries, including the United States, Western Europe, even in Africa, governments have been cutting back some support for universities. They have other priorities. Universities look for other sources of funding. Consequently, they go to private enterprise. Okay. So again, it's sort of business degrees, private enterprise. It also influences research. Research is very expensive today at universities to build laboratories and all of that. So often it's private industry coming in, investing. Sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's not.
I know, yeah. It depends.
Right. Oh, no, for example, in my university, we became very much involved in cyber technology. Okay. And we'll become a world center for cyber technology, primarily because of investment of private companies along with the government. Okay. So that's positive.
Yeah, nowadays with the new generation, millennials, of course, are always there. I mean, in these kind of things. Right. Yeah. And according to that, what is your opinion about the main challenges in higher education and developing countries?
Well, I think there are probably at least two, and they're not necessarily, it's not a zero-sum game. I think there's an importance, well, I mentioned three things. I think one, it's important to just educate everyone, okay. Mass education, which is, in some places, it's still a problem. The second is the need for countries around the world to have centers of excellence, okay. Mainly because of the sort of an international consortium of the top universities. And that's the future in terms of certain discoveries that will be made, let's say in technology, in medicine, in health, which will then have economic consequences. And the other thing I would also say is very important, I think, women and education, to provide opportunities for women. In some places, it's questionable whether women have the same opportunities as men, which is unfortunate considering we're in this
society.
2019.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's so sad, that part. But thanks for talking about that part. So, another question, please. Which are the educational challenges Mexico is facing relating to college education, according to your experience?
I'm sorry, which?
Which are the educational challenges Mexico is facing relating to college education?
Okay, I want to stay away from political subjects. Okay. But I think it's important to get mass education, making sure everyone is educated. And even the disparity between, let's say, a Mexico City and many people in Mexico City that have excellent opportunities and rural areas and what we call it in the States in slang, the boondocks, way out areas, to make sure that those areas have opportunities as well, that they have the universities all over the country also get resources so that everyone will have, there'll be more equality of opportunity.
Okay.
So that certain areas of the country won't be left out because they don't have universities or they don't have a good primary education system.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. And finally, what message or recommendation would you give to our community of master's and doctoral students?
It's a fascinating question. I've never really thought about that. I would say in my own experience, it's very, very important for masters and PhD candidates to work very hard and to set high goals and to finish. My experience in higher education has been that many of the people I started graduate school with never finished.
Yeah.
People drop out. Now, the other thing I would also say is, this would be a more general question. Not everyone has to get a PhD. And success in life for an individual and satisfaction isn't necessarily, the road to the traditional. I mean, there's a traditional path of higher education where people got PhDs, then they went to universities and they taught. So there's a serious problem in a lot of countries, including in North America, it might be true in Mexico too. No one wants to study humanities anymore. So if no one wants to study humanities, why get a PhD in humanities? So that's part of the problem. But I would just say to people that are already involved, work hard, decide what your goal is, achieve that goal, and then go out in the world and become part of it. Return to reality. And remember that we're all part of societies, and we have a commitment to our society, not just to ourselves.
Okay, wow, it's a pleasure talking to you, really. It's so interesting. I mean, your experience is wonderful. So as I told you at the beginning, it's really a honor for us that you're here, that you gave us this interview for our community at UNIVDEP. It's a wonderful experience, yes, and to have you here, as I told you. Thank you very much.
Okay.